6 of the I formation. I'm Jeff Gibbons.
And I'm John Moist.
And got to tell you, folks, we had a great week with picks this week. We nailed some pretty key matchups, actually. We're going to crow a little bit. Going to start off with the first one of the week. And I remember, you always hit this verbatim, John. Great call. St. Louis handing Arizona its first loss of the year.
Arizona has no offensive line. St. Louis had 9 sacks in this game. And when a team doesn't have an offensive line, they have one of the worst in the game, I think. You're not going to win very many games. Arizona's 4-1 right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they topped out at 8 wins this year. I don't think they're going to win very many games. I don't think they're the team that went 4-0. They're not a caliber of team that should have gone 4-0. And I don't think that, I just don't think they're a great team.
Be interesting to see how that plays out, because we've made some pretty gutsy calls so far this year. Look at the Miami and Cincinnati game, and this was one that went my way this week. Said it was going to be close. Sports writers are saying all over that Miami is getting better and better every week. I saw somebody tweet out this week already that Ryan Tannehill seems to be breaking a new record every week in Miami. He has made a change. He has taken a turn, and I think you said it best. Yeah, it's confidence. You're right. I think with the confidence in the receivers, and he's got a decent receiving core, in people like Fasano, certainly Brian Hartline, and Devon Best. These people are out there. He's making the connections. Some of those catches that were being made in that game, they were just incredible, over the shoulder kind of stuff. Good to see.
Miami is a team that's going to win a lot of 3-point games this year. If they can win their 3-point games, they could make the playoffs. And they could easily be 4-1 at this point. With the games that they have played, they played really well. So.
I'm sure Carpenter would like to have that field goal, those 2 field goals back in more, right? I mean, yeah, that's the kind of thing. The team they're on the cusp. I look forward to seeing playing more provincial or interdivisional games, where we're going to see that's going to tell the tale in that division. Sure. And like I said about New England being the best of the worst in the AFC East, because there are much stronger divisions, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Who saw Indy upset Green Bay? I think one thing was that we recorded really early, as we do every week, and there was an independent variable there that we didn't catch.
Chuck Pagano.
Absolutely. And we read the letter of encouragement that he wrote to the team. He was looking at plays on his iPad from hospital. He's been involved in the whole thing, the practices and whatnot remotely. And he definitely they went out and they won one for Pagano this week, and I think hopefully that trend continue. Andrew Luck is really coming of age, playing well. Reggie Wayne had a hell of a game too. That certainly helped him.
Over 200 yards.
Yeah, circus catches all the way through. Great to see the effort. And we're seeing a spiraling Green Bay Packer team that's in disarray. And we've said that a couple of times already this year.
Their offensive line is just not there. Green Bay has a swarming defense, and their defense didn't play up to par, I guess, in this game. They gave up 30 points. Green Bay has a great defense. Their offensive line is just not getting the job done. And when the offensive line doesn't get the job done, then the ball gets turned over to the other team, of course, and control the clock.
That's right. And the stats on turnovers and how that can impact.
Yes, 1 in 4. If a team has more than two turnovers in the game, they will lose that game 75% of the time.
Pretty telling statistic.
Yeah.
And we can see the teams that are winning games now that are 4-1, like the Chicago Bears, who are leading the league in takeaways right now. So big difference.
Oh yeah, that's right. There was a great game there between San Francisco and Buffalo. Oh yeah, great ball game for one team. I don't know, but the other one forgot to show up.
Yeah, the 3 points were almost a mercy there. But that San Francisco team, 45 more points on the board. Alex Smith is flawless. And that defense.
And of course, the record.
Yeah, 600 all-purpose yards, which has been accomplished before, but for the first time in NFL history, it was a breakdown of 300 plus in the running category and the passing category. That's incredible.
A lot of history.
Absolutely. Not to mention the fact that San Francisco's outscored their opponents in the last 2 games 79-3.
Yeah, they sort of got a good defense over there.
It's moving.
Yeah.
There are teams out there that are going to challenge them a little bit more, like maybe this week, but still they can hold their own.
Yes.
And finally, I want to apologize to everybody out there in YouTube land. those of you who rented the Notebook on Monday night because of my prediction that this was going to be a blowout. It was a lot closer than it should have been.
You don't need to apologize, man. It was a great movie. Anyway.
Props. They hold on, actually. Houston holds on to beat the Jets 23-17. But they do lose Brian Cushing.
Cushing, I believe the player's name that's replacing him is Tim Dobbin. I hope I got that name right. Now, Tim Dobbin played under Wade Phillips in San Diego, and he knows Wade Phillips' system. He is very good against the run, and he should fill in that gap nicely. And I think they'll be all right.
Okay. One more game I want to mention. There was another team from a certain Northwest town called Chicago. And we know that team to be the Bears. They they destroyed the Jacksonville Jaguars 41-3.
Charles Tillman is now the all-time leader in defensive touchdowns for Chicago Bears. He now has 8.
Yeah, Lance Briggs had one too. Hit him in the chest, and once he starts moving towards the goal line, slow him down.
Next time they play Jacksonville, they should really think about just putting Briggs and Tillman on the field against the Jaguars. Might be closer.
Make it an interesting game, especially if it's a Monday nighter.
The Bears.
Something I want to say. I can't remember the last time in NFL history that a defense had 2 pick sixes in 2 consecutive games. That's pretty impressive stuff.
Yes.
Okay, so my team of the week, based on everything we talked about here, and there were many good teams, well, I got to go with San Francisco. The record,
San Francisco here as well.
600 all-purpose yards. The breakdown, 79-3 in the last 2 weeks, and onward and upward. My player of the week, Drew Brees. 370 yards passing, which is a standard day in the park for Drew Brees. 29 for 45. So, I mean, he had a fair number of incompletions, but did manage to complete, in his 48th straight game, a touchdown pass. And he threw that ball to?
Henderson.
Yeah, Henderson.
40-yard pass to Henderson.
That's right. And here was the cool thing. You know, Johnny Unitas' son was on hand for this. You know, he just was sort of following the games. And when the ball was caught by Henderson, number 19, he reached over to somebody in the press booth and he said, number 19 caught it. And the significance, of course, being Johnny Unitas' number. So that was kind of a cool way for it all to happen.
Yes, for sure.
So Drew Brees is that ball is already in the Hall of Fame, by the way. They've got that ball put in.
As it should be.
Yeah. So that's my player of the week. Who did you like this week?
I like Reggie Wayne. Over 200 yards receiving, 13 catches. Reggie Wayne has now caught a pass in 100 consecutive games. So, definitely my player of the week. He had some circus catches out there too. Got a touchdown as well.
A good many of them from Peyton Manning. So, neat to see. So that's a little bit of a wrap up of last week. Very, very proud of what we accomplished. We're going to continue to accomplish at that level. That's our take on this. Stick around. We're next going to go through all of our picks for this week. And I think we vary on a couple this week. So we'll talk that through and hash it out. Okay, so stay tuned. Hi, and welcome back to the I Formation here in the Man Room. Let's talk about this week's picks, John. I think we're pretty close on these. Couple that we disagree on this week. And they could go either way as far as I'm concerned. The Thursday nighter this week, Pittsburgh is at Tennessee. What do you think? What do you like?
I like Pittsburgh for sure.
Me too.
I think that they're going to run the ball all over them. I don't think Tennessee's run defense is ridiculously bad. Matter of fact, their entire defense is not that great. And Pittsburgh is just a better ball team.
I think they've got some holes in their secondary. I think Chris Johnson could light it up, but I still don't think they got enough to beat Pittsburgh. I think with Palomalu out of the mix,
they might keep it close.
Yeah, they might keep it close, but they're not going to beat Pittsburgh. I don't care if they're at home or not. Next, we've got Oakland in Atlanta.
Yeah.
We're in the Dome. It's
Matt Ryan at home. Oakland has not played well this year.
Oakland stinks.
Atlanta just has way too many weapons. I don't even see this one being close.
No. I'd say after the first quarter, maybe you can catch up. For those of you who didn't see the Notebook, this will be a good time to rent it this week. And I don't want you renting it again, man, because you go soft on me. All right. Cincinnati in Cleveland. This was a toughie.
It is a toughie because the Battle of Ohio was always a close game, and Cleveland had 27 points against the Giants now, so I'm going to apologize to Brad Childress. So I said last week he wouldn't coordinate my kid's birthday party. Well, I'm going to let him show up this time, but he's got to do the balloon animals.
Excellent.
Cleveland sucks since he's going to win. How's that?
Yeah, I think they're in the dog pound, though. I think they keep this close.
Okay.
And I just think that the Bengals or the Bungles they've been up and down. They haven't been able to hold leads all year. And Miami, they faded against Miami. Miami came out, that interception at the end. I say it's close, but I think Cincy wins. St. Louis at the Dolphins.
I like the Dolphins for sure in this game.
Me too. I don't think you'd said this 2 weeks ago. And I think that we've seen that defensive line, or that defensive group, that cluster. We've got Cameron Wake, who's a machine. Carlos Dansby's playing a lot better this year than he did last year. And, perennially, Miami has a good defense. I think they're in Miami. I think they take St. Louis out. With Amendola out now 6 to 7 weeks with a separated shoulder, huge part of their offense.
I'm picking Miami because Cincinnati, who I thought was going to win this week, and they played a good game. Miami held Cincinnati to 2 for 14 on third down conversions, and that's great defense. So I mean, if you can't convert on third down, obviously you're in trouble. And Miami at home should be able to handle St. Louis.
Hoping they're going to go to 500. Detroit at Philadelphia this week.
I think it's about time for Michael Vick to stop fumbling the ball. And Detroit, that's a divisional rivalry as well. I think that it could be tough. Could be tough.
Calvin Johnson has not had much of a year so far. And I think you're right. Michael LaShore, these guys, lackluster performances. And I think that they're going to need to step up to beat this Philadelphia team who's hungry now. Michael Vick has been tweeting all over Twitter that he's going to change this, and he's got the heart of a champion. He wants to turn this around, and I think you're only going to get so many strikes at Michael Vick before he straightens it out. There's a lot of good offensive weapons there, including people like Deshaun Jackson, who I think is going to have a big week this week against that defense.
I think LaShawn McCoy is going to be having a good week this time. So we both picked the Eagles?
Absolutely. Indianapolis at the Jets.
I like the Jets, sir. I think we differ on this one.
I don't ever like the Jets. So, yeah, and I think it's going to be a good game. I've less and less respect after that chop block this week. I just have no time for the way that this organization run. I'm sorry if that interferes and hurts people, but I think there's a lot that has to happen for them to garner my respect again. I think Indianapolis is on a high. I think that they've got some reasonable offensive weapons. I think that they can go in there, they can keep this close, and I think they can win a squeaker.
I think it's going to be a close game as well, but I think that the Jets may have a little bit more defense. And Robert Mathis is questionable for Indy right now. And he has 5 or 6 sacks in the year, so you take him out of the equation, and I think the Jets can win. Once again, I also pick it as a close game. I think the Jets by a field goal.
Okay. And in the WGAF Bowl this week, we have the Kansas City Chiefs on the road with the Buccaneers.
I thought the Chiefs were going to win last week when they played the Ravens, but no such luck. The Chiefs are turning the ball over way too many times. I believe there was another 4 turnovers by the team against the Ravens. And the Buccaneers coming off a bye week, playing at home. They have a solid run defense. They should be able to shut down Jamal Charles, which is pretty much all Kansas City has right now. So I think the Bucs are going to win this one by 6 points. Nothing huge.
A good hometown win. You're right. I agree with you 100%. Dallas visiting at Baltimore.
Baltimore at home. Can't see Dallas beating them, although the Ravens didn't look great.
Tony Romo's making a lot of mistakes, though.
Yes.
He's throwing interceptions. He's confused. I think this swarming defense, if we're going to call it any defense in the NFL, this is one of those swarming defenses. Ray Lewis. I think that they're going to give him the same kinds of problems. I think he's going to make mistakes based on Baltimore's blitzing. Ed Reed. Hit him in the numbers. He'll run it back every single time.
Yeah.
So we both agree on Baltimore.
Yes.
Buffalo at Arizona.
As much as I don't like this Arizona team, the Bills looked awful this past week. I mean, they gave up over 600 yards. Arizona's a team now that just lost a game to St. Louis. They're at home playing a weak team. I think this will be another win for Arizona. I think a convincing win for Arizona, actually.
Yeah, and the receiving core of Buffalo has really started to let them down. They're dropping balls all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I think things have to get better. Fitzpatrick's not that bad of a quarterback, but when the ball gets thrown to a receiver like Steve Johnson, he's catching the ball.
Oh, Arizona's been wreaking havoc on opposing quarterbacks when they're playing at home this year as well.
So Arizona it is.
Mm-hmm.
Our favorite New England Patriots are visiting Seattle this week.
Yeah. Another win for Tom fucking Brady.
If you'd have told me ahead of time, I could have went.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Don't ever say that word Brady again. All right. You know what? I flip-flopped on this pick. I'm going with New England as well. But I would not be surprised if we lose this pick this week with that Seattle defense at home, the same one that sacked Aaron Rodgers 8 times. I know word is all over Twitter now that this no-huddle offense that the Patriots have been using to mix things up, the new run, and it's apparently one-word play calls. Somebody's telling me they got the code cracked. Let's see if Seattle has anything to do with that.
I'd really like to see Seattle pound them.
Yeah, well, we'll concede that pick if it happens, but right now we're both picking New England.
Yeah.
Minnesota's in Washington this week.
I like the Vikings in this game. I think the Vikings are for real. 4-1 on the season, are they? And who would have thought that at this point in the season we'd be arguing over who's the best team in that division, and the argument would be between Minnesota and Chicago, and Green Bay wouldn't even be mentioned in that mix. Actually, I think the Bears are the best in the division, but I think Minnesota has markedly better team than Washington. And I can see Percy Harvin having another big game here. I think Washington might get a couple of scores on special teams, keep it close, but I think the Vikings are just a better all-around team, better defensively and better offensively, actually.
They're keeping very quiet, too, about RG3's condition. They still haven't cleared him for play this week. They're not saying anything. You know, he was tweeting, or he was stating to the media, I believe, at the very least, that he was feeling okay, and it looked like he was going to play. And that was going to be a Tuesday deadline, which was, in our days, that was yesterday. Just letting you know, today is Wednesday. Still haven't gotten word on that. So that kind of scares me a little bit, because he is a big part of that offensive package. And I think that without him, I don't even think they have a chance. But I think it's close, and I like what you say about the Bears, too, because I think Minnesota, Christian Ponder, these guys are, Percy Harvin's having a big year. Ponder's playing like
he doesn't make mistakes.
No, he's a poised professional, with
good offensive line there, too.
Yeah. So let's see. I think we both go with Minnesota here. Mm-hmm. The Giants visit San Francisco.
Oh, I flip-flopped on this one myself. But how can I go against a team that just put up 621 yards and has outscored their opponents 79-3 in the last 2 weeks? Now they're playing at home. I like the Giants. I actually like the Giants to keep this one close. Last year, I believe, in the NFC Championship game, it was the Giants by a field goal. And I think that the Giants can keep it within a field goal here as well. I like the Niners. They're playing at home. And I see their defense coming up with a big game, and I'm going to pick the Niners by a field goal.
I agree 100%. Mm-hmm. Next, Green Bay visits Houston.
Another one that's tough to call. Green Bay needs a win here. They need a statement game. And if there ever was a statement game to go in and hand Houston their first loss, that would certainly be a statement, and I know they're thinking about that. Mm-hmm. That being said, Houston's defense is outstanding. Green Bay's offensive line has not played up to par this year, and I really think that that Houston's going to beat Green Bay in this game by a touchdown.
I'd be concerned about Aaron Rodgers if I was the Green Bay Packers organization. He's not getting the protection he needs from that offensive line, and over time that translates into things like an injury. So, taking him out of the mix, you got a real issue in Green Bay. So they need to step up and protect that quarterback. And I think then establish the run. Benson goes down last week. We're not even sure on his status at this point.
Benson's out.
He is out.
He is out.
Okay, so another aspect. You're not establishing the run, and we've contended that right from the beginning.
And
that's difficult.
Finley as well.
Jermichael Finley.
Finley is questionable. Another big loss.
I think Houston goes 6-0 here, but again, they're a shallow 6-0. I think they're beatable.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be any team's going to be able to walk in and do that. They have to make an adjustment, maybe to the nickel. I'd make them a little softer on the run this week, but again, not an issue with Benson out of the lineup. I think with that adjustment for Cushing, they move forward.
J.J. Watt.
Yes.
Watch for him.
Yeah.
Being
Steve
Rogers.
Mariucci, you told him about him, right? I saw he tweeted that out this week. That's great. Yeah. Okay, and the Monday nighter this week, the interdivision rivalry, Denver is in San Diego.
This is the
other game
that we disagree on. And Denver and San Diego, I think it's going to be within a field goal. And I think this is a game that could go either way. I'm a Broncos fan, and not only because I'm a Broncos fan, because I think Peyton Manning is due for a big game here. He had a good game last week, but came up short against Tom Brady. And and I think that the Broncos are going to be able to move the ball on the ground against the San Diego team. And I think I'm going to call Denver and a late field goal to win the game.
Okay. And no doubt it's a coin toss. That's a new line. No doubt it's close. And I think I looked at them being at home. They're always close games. I'm giving the edge to San Diego after that massive performance this week. Did very well. I think Denver, there is some talk about Manning's arm strength. I know you're seeing this around the news in the last few days. People are wondering about Peyton Manning's endurance, and that was a key. Him coming back after those surgeries, how is he going to be feeling mid-season? I think he's still all that in a bag of chips. And
it's
I think
the media. He loses a couple of games, and all of a sudden they're talking about his arm strength.
Remember
if
what
he
we
won
said.
the last couple of games, they'd be saying his arm's stronger than it ever was. So
but the other side of that is,
don't
remember
think
we talked about this early in the season. I remember saying that the team still has to learn the Peyton Manning way. It is a lot to expect the Denver Broncos to be ready to win a Super Bowl just because Manning changes his jersey. And I think that over time, that entire team will embrace Peyton Manning for every level. He's the best cerebral quarterback to ever play in the National Football League. He sees defenses and reads them better than any other quarterback out there, past or present. And I think that once the team catches up with Manning, just from the standpoint of learning the plays and learning the offenses, that team is going to be a very, very difficult team to beat, especially with the great defense that they have available to them in Denver. Okay, so that's the picks for the week. Stick around. We're going to give you our final thoughts, and we'll talk about a team and a player of the week.
Welcome back to the I Formation. Now we're going to make our picks for player of the week and team of the week. What do you like for player of the week, Jeff?
This week I like Deshaun Jackson with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they've got something to prove this week. I think they're going to have a big week all around, so the big guns have to step up, and I think it's time for him to have a career week. How about yourself?
I like Michael Vick throwing the ball to Jackson. Also, I said earlier that this was a divisional rivalry. Actually, I know the difference. They're not in the same divisions. But I like Michael Vick. He's under a lot of pressure now. A lot of people talking about him fumbling the ball. And I think it's time that he's going to step up, and he's going to have a real big game against Detroit. Throwing the ball. LaShawn McCoy is going to have a good game as well. He'll probably catch some passes as well. He's a great receiving running back. So Michael Vick, definitely my pick of the week. What about team of the week?
I'm going out on that limb you were out on last week, and I'm going to pick the Indianapolis Colts. I think that they can still ride this whole Pagano thing. That team has really come of age. Some big guns stepped up. Andrew Luck is playing with the poise of better than a rookie now, and I think that when they go in, and I'm picking them to beat the Jets at home, we're saying that's going to be a close game, but the fact that they can stay with a team like that speaks volumes for how this team is developing, and I'm picking them to have a good game, and we're going to be talking about them next week, hopefully. How about yourself?
I like my Denver Broncos. They're going into San Diego, always a close game. And I think the Broncos are due for a big game from Peyton Manning. Eric Decker perhaps for catch a few passes. Wilson Gahey on the ground. Denver defense to slow down the San Diego running machine, and I think that Denver will pull this one out in the end. It's going to be a close game.
Awesome. So there you have it. Week 6 picks in the can. We encourage you to come back next week and see how we did. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to do stellar, just like we have for the last 2 weeks. You can like us on Facebook. And don't forget, we're going to be back here same time, same channel next week. If you want to subscribe to the videos, it's Omega Adam 474. So look us up on YouTube and you'll get to see all the new videos as they come along. So, take care this week. Enjoy the games. I know we will. And it's good night for me.
Have fun.